This podcast is intended for educational purposes only. For more information and our full disclosure, please visit ncmidwifery.com and our podcast page. Well, welcome back to episode 2 of season 2. We have a special guest in the studio today with our host, Shannon Bennett and Angie Hansen. Enjoy, ladies.
We are live.
Woo!
I want to introduce you to one of my favorite people. This is officially Dr. Virginia Frazer, but she's just Ginger to me. She was one of the main mentors that I had as a student midwife, and I just owe her so much. Thank you. I just want to honor you. It's going to make me teary.
There's no crying in podcasts.
None of that. No, I just owe so much to Ginger. I look at the things that I do now and I'm like, wow, I hear her voice in my head. I remember the times that she told me, you can do this, or don't give up, you're so close, or you know what you're doing. That's where I got that, Angie.
Sounds familiar.
I tell Angie the same thing. You know what you're doing. It's in there. But Ginger, as a doctor, is a naturopathic physician and also a retired midwife. And we thought we'd have her come today and talk to us about that first year, because as parents, you're always like, oh man, my baby's got a bellyache. They've got a fever. They're teething. I don't know what to do. And I don't want to run to the pharmacy and grab garbage and give it to my child.
Yeah.
So we would like for you to talk to us today about how do you handle those situations in that first year?
There's the most amazing thing that the tool that we have is homeopathy.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of herbal medicine. I do a lot of homeopathy. I do a lot of, naturopathic medicine. But with that first year, there's a whole lot of options that you have to help you with your little baby. So what is homeopathy?
Yes.
So homeopathy is what we think of as very, 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 very dilute remedies, originally based in primarily nutrition and herbs and minerals and a few other things. So, but with babies, so basically it's and so what we see is, sometimes we use single remedies, but more often we use what we call combination remedies. And I think of it as a shotgun approach. So if I lined up, 5 kids who are teething, they might be different. They might have a different combination of remedies that help them. So it's not like one remedy in a bottle. We have a whole variety of things, and 3 might work for this kid and different, one of the same, but then 2 other ones for this kid, but they're all in the same bottle, right?
Can I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah.
The biggest question we always get is, well, how does this even work if it's that dilute? Can you explain?
It's very interesting because there was a Stanford physicist who sat down and tried to explain it.
Oh, wow. That probably didn't, if he's a physicist, it probably didn't go that well.
I'm sure you'll do a much better job.
Yeah, please.
Every time I try to explain it.
So basically, we don't necessarily understand the basis for every single thing that we do. Right. So homeopathy is one of those things that was all done experientially on individual remedies. And what happened was, the father of homeopathy, which his name is Hahnemann, he's a German doctor, and he would give gradually, very, very gradually increasing amounts of substances like mercury, like, pulsatilla, like chamomile, you know what I'm saying? Increasing amounts until they started to see symptoms. And he would record all those symptoms, and the homeopathic remedy of that would fix it, would would make it go back normal. So that's
the nutshell is like cures like.
Exactly.
So explain that a little bit.
Well, the opposite of homeopathy is what we call allopathy, which is what you call conventional medicine, right? Mm-hmm. So allopathic medicine means it's kind of antibiotic, anti-inflammatory, anti-histamine. You know what I'm saying? And so homeopathy works with the body. Sometimes I think about maybe an antidepressant, right? So sometimes I think of who our personality is like a CD. I mean, we got a scratch in our CD, and it's like this thing that keeps bugging you. And so when you take a medicine, it's sometimes like putting a CD over the top of it. You know, some people, medicines take over their personality, and they're not the same person. You know what I'm saying? And so I look at the scratch, and homeopathy can actually fix the scratch. And over time, it can fix the scratch and make it better. So that's why I like homeopathy, because it actually helps balance you back out again where you're got a hole.
And there's go ahead, Angie.
Oh, I was just going to say, and along with that, not only how does it work, but how do we know that it's safe? Why are we going to give a tiny bit of mercury to our, 3-month-old tiny baby?
We don't do it. You can dose your pets. It's totally safe.
Really, right, really, it is totally safe. Pregnancy, nursing, and for babies, it is totally safe. That's why we like homeopathy, because it's so dilute, and the dilution is space-wise. So, for example, if you see something that says 6X on it, so X is around over 10, right? That means they took the original substance. And so if it's an X, that means 10. So they took 1 drop of the original one and put it in 9 drops of water, and they do something called succussing. Well, they're doing a whole bunch at the same time in a big bottle, and they have an arm that holds onto it and a rubber stopper, and they pound it for a while, and then they take 1 drop of that and put it in 9 drops of water, and they keep doing that.
This sounds a little bit like
6X, they've done it 6 times. I know, but 30C is what I use most time, and C is 100. So they put 1 drop in 99 drops of water and succuss it, and then do that again and again and again 30 times.
And so people tell me, if it's that dilute,
what is it?
What is it doing?
All I know is they work. I've used them all the time.
We all say.
My first time, I was in medical school, and my manager knocks on my door and says, "My baby has a fever." And they had just given me a box, and I pulled it out and I said, "Go use that." And I asked her a couple questions, and I handed her one thing.
Did you know what you were doing?
And the next morning, she gave it back to me, and she said, 10 minutes later, that kid was asleep and has no fever this morning.
Wow.
10 minutes. And the lady didn't know anything about it. She didn't know anything about homeopathy. She didn't know what it was. She just believed me she could give it to her kid.
We say that in general. We're like, I don't really get how it works. Sometimes
and it was
I wonder if
remedy,
it really does.
One remedy, and it was belladonna.
And even if it's in your head, it still works. So we're good. It's
anyway,
safe.
so basically that single versus combination, and the difference between working with the body, like cures like, as opposed to anti. So
I like it. That's a good explanation.
It
is.
So
I almost understand.
I know, right?
Because it sounds like you're helping the body overcome whatever the obstacle is, rather than just covering it up like you used the CD analogy.
Yeah.
So it really is helping the body.
On the other hand, sometimes you need something to hold on, but I still want to do the homeopathy at the same time.
Like, what's an example of that?
Like an allergy.
So basically, what I have, so the kid's got a fever, and you've always used Tylenol or ibuprofen or whatever, right? And but it takes a half an hour, and the kid, meanwhile, is extremely miserable, right? So if it's the right remedy, right, or combination of remedies, whatever the shotgun approach is, it'll work in 10 minutes, long before that Tylenol hits.
I noticed that. It either works or it doesn't do anything if it's not the right remedy.
That's true. And that's why I like combinations, because usually you're going to hit.
Throw the book at it. And
so there's no problem with taking a shotgun approach. You're hoping that one of those will hit it and the rest won't hurt.
Right. The Hahnemann purists would say no.
Remedies,
Absolutely. And so, but they're doing what we call constitutional prescribing, which is not what we're doing with babies. So,
is there even a way to know, really, with a newborn?
Exactly.
So the idea is you have to actually test one to see what results. You couldn't just do 2 or 3, or you wouldn't know which one's really working.
It doesn't matter if you're getting results.
Yeah, hallelujah.
If you're getting results, you know what I'm saying? So there's, 8 remedies in there in that bottle, right? And you're going to get a result. You know what I'm saying? If that's what the problem is.
Right.
So to move along, then your baby's fussy, right? Your baby is fussy. Yeah. And so what could be going on, right? The baby could be actually getting sick, and when you get a cold, you feel crummy, it's a cold, and you kind of, whatever you do, but the baby doesn't have any other way to express itself besides crying. You know what I'm saying? There's just nothing in between with a little baby.
Yeah.
And so they could be getting sick. They could be teething. Now, teething, 6 months is average for a first tooth, but I've seen a lot of babies take a lot longer to get a first tooth. And it just depends. And sometimes they're getting 4 all at once and they're miserable. So they can have gas. They could have what we call colic. Have you ever had gas pain? I've had gas pain. It's hideous. Like somebody stabbing a knife into me. Thank you very much. And so there's some really nice combination remedies by the company Hyland's, HYLAND''S.
Yes.
They have a lot of different types of things that are great for babies.
And you can even pick those up in the grocery store in the baby section.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So basically you can find the gas and colic. Now, reflux is something that's a little different. A lot of people really jump on the reflux bandwagon. And I see it, but I also see that it could be something else. And I had a mom who figured it out, and I couldn't believe how she figured it out. It was really cool.
Well, tell us the story.
So we thought the baby had reflux, and I gave her a prescription, and she tried it for like 2 days, and she was not impressed at all. And somehow, Holy Spirit, I don't know, she got some betaine hydrochloride with some pancreatic enzymes in it. And she started giving a small amount to her baby. Yeah. And lo and behold,
boom.
Yeah. From puking 10 times a day to 3 times a week.
So
how old was the baby?
It started at 8 weeks.
Oh, wow.
He was really little.
I've had a couple of those recently. Yeah. So just super low dose.
Yeah.
If it comes in liquid form.
No, actually, it was in capsules. She would just open it up and put a tiny bit on her finger and let him suck it off.
Good to know.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah.
And so as he's gotten older, she gives him a little more, and he's. I mean, it's totally no puking. He's great.
Wow.
Yeah, and growing really well.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
Really nice. So he's what is he? Probably 10 months old now. Anyway, so kind of, it's a little hard. Sometimes you have to try a few things. So there's a resource page that I put together on the different Hyland products. So there's a fussy baby one. They actually have a fussy baby one, and it's got a lot of remedies in it. So that could be a really nice one. Sometimes they're just restless. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they're just restless. And so that it does affect, so, and then there's they have a colic one and they have a gas one. So
I've used the colic one, the Hyland's, and on my kids.
And it's only got like 6 remedies, and that's not a big one, It's nice. So anyway, I put together the fussy baby one. I actually put all the remedies in there. The other ones I just listed what they were and what they said the uses were, because I didn't want to go out more than one page. So teething, the primary remedies for teething, chamomile or chamomilla, as we say in homeopathy world, is 80% of teething babies. The rest of them are mostly belladonna, and they have a few other remedies in there, but they're just like really small. So a lot of times, if I've got somebody in my office, I will just put chamomile and belladonna in one bottle and just let them do that and try that. For the teething. That's just.
So can you explain the dosing, or is that something you're going to get to?
Well, it's really variable. So,
or hey, I get the call. My kid just ate the whole bottle of Arnica.
Will not hurt them. Yeah.
And I'm like, nah.
Yeah. That's the beauty of homeopathy. I've had that happen numerous times with individual remedies that I've given to
Right.
families. You know what I'm saying? So
And because they taste good.
They're
yeah.
It's like
yeah, the
candy.
2-year-old, man, if they can get at them, they'll eat them.
Yeah, so homeopathic remedies are either on these little hard, like cake sprinkle type pellets, or on soft sucralose tablets.
They're pretty much all
or
lactose.
lactose
They're all
tablets
lactose tablets.
that just
but
kind of melt when you put it on baby's
Mhm.
tongue. So they taste good.
as the Highlands are
They
all
don't
the
have-
soft pellets.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So
The
why
only
is
medication that
that?
always tastes good.
Why is that you can take the whole bottle or just a few pellets and it does the same thing?
oh, well, you don't want to use up the whole bottle.
Well, no,
want
you
to.
don't. But if you're,
You know,
if
but it
you're-
really won't hurt them, and so that's just what we say. It won't hurt them. So
But why? Why? I want to know why.
Yeah, why?
teacher.
How is it different in homeopathy that you can take a few pellets or a whole bottle? I mean, if you did that
And it
with
won't hurt
Tylenol, you would
You'd have
be
to
in
call
severe.
poison
Yeah, you'd be in
control.
trouble.
that's the whole point. Is it's so dilute that it doesn't. You know, I wouldn't recommend.
So
it.
it's more
not-
about the dose, about dosing yourself as opposed to the amount. Like I could do a cap full of sprinkles as opposed to 4 sprinkles, and it's still just a dose, right?
right.
Okay.
And so yeah, a lot of times with babies, we'll cut some of those soft pellets in half,
Mhm.
and then they put that half in a little spoonful of water, you know, the baby size
Right.
spoonful, on the counter for about half an hour. And then you take back up a clean spoon and smash it into the water, and it's just a slurry.
Yeah.
And then you can now you never want to dump anything down the baby's throat, right?
Right.
So with the spoon, it's actually really fascinating. You can touch the lower lip and get the fluid to hit the upper lip, and they will just slurp
Yeah,
it right out
they'll
of the
suck
spoon.
it
It is
off
the
the
coolest
spoon,
thing. You've
yeah.
seen that happen. I know
we
it.
just did that
'Cause we've
last
done
night
that
at the birth, right?
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Spongia.
Trouble breathing? Yes, yep. Transient tachypnea. Yay!
Mhm.
So I taught you that.
You sure did.
So we were talking about teething, and a lot of times I will just put the chamomile and the belladonna in there, but the Highlands teething one has, you know, I think 2 or 3 other remedies in there, like I said. And again, it's just that, you know, that shotgun approach. You know, they took the belladonna out of it for a while, but they put it back in. There was some kind of freak out about the belladonna, but
I saw that. They
Yeah.
took it off the whole thing off the market for a bit, and then brought
Then
it
it went
back
back.
out without the
Mhm.
belladonna.
and then the belladonna I think is back in it now.
So just to clarify again for parents that are new to this and you know have the medical model just steeped in their head.
Yes.
So like when you know, is it okay to take that, like you call it, the shotgun approach and just say, you know, the kid has tummy problems, they're kind of stuffy, they're getting sick. It's like multiple things. So we're going to just dump, you know, 5 different things in here and give it to them. Is there any way that you can go wrong with mixing and matching the homeopathics?
No.
Okay, so there's no like cross reaction.
No,
You're not
or-
going to kill your child.
Right, right. Well, because we
No,
think
as
we're
long
like,
as
well, we
they're
can't
all
take,
homeopathy.
you know,
As
we're
long
not
as they're all
going to take,
homeopathy.
you know, Zyrtec and aspirin and
Right,
ibuprofen
right.
and all these things all at the same time. But
Right,
this is
right.
very different.
Right.
Gotcha.
Well, what are your favorites? You mentioned Highlands.
That's mostly because they are on the soft pellets.
Mm-hmm.
There are other companies. You know, the kit that I love for families, because, you know, when you start when your kids are young, you've got remedies that you can use and that your kids can
Mhm.
use as they grow, you know, when they have different problems, they fall and hurt themselves as opposed to,
Arnica.
you know, when they're teething. Completely different. Yeah, exactly. And I had a kid who stuck his finger in his ear and caused himself an infection, but he also had a ruptured eardrum, so we couldn't put anything in there.
Right.
Right. So he caused his own problem. His ear canal was so swollen I had to get the
Oh,
tiniest baby looker to get and see the broken
The baby
ear.
looker.
Yeah, that's, you know, I have, you know,
Yeah, I know.
my ear looker that's the tiniest
Ginger
little one I
has
had.
her own verbiage for things.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
baby looker?
Yeah.
No, ear looker. Yeah. You know,
The
it's
ear
called an
scope.
otoscope.
No, it's a baby looker.
Yeah. So when we talk about sleep, right? There's a restlessness. There's the fussy baby formula, right?
Mhm.
But as far as sleep goes, Passiflora is the nearest, the closest thing to, which is passion flower in homeopathy speak,
Uh-huh.
right? The closest thing to a knee jerk for baby sleep that there is, right? The other one, it's really amazing, is coffee. And
Homeopathic
think
coffee.
about some kids, their irritability looks like somebody who's had too much caffeine.
Mhm.
You ever try to sleep when you've had too much caffeine and you're lying there
Yes.
going, kind of vibrating?
Angie's
you know?
a pro at that.
I remember, I had to be at something at 8:00 in the morning in Seattle. So I drove on a Friday night and it, there was a semi jackknife. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so coffee, homeopathic, the kid doesn't have any caffeine, but think about what it looks like when you have too much. Those symptoms, the kid has those symptoms.
So the like
and
curing
the like cures like. You give, a 30C of coffee and lo and behold, they can sleep.
So I always think of Ipecac. So we think about Ipecac syrup you give your child if they've eaten something poison in the yard, right?
Mm-hmm. So
it will
homeopathic
induce
Ipecac.
vomiting.
Right.
So if they're vomiting, you
Right.
give them a homeopathic remedy,
Especially
of Ipecac.
if they're coughing to the point of puking.
Right.
Right. Then it's really
It's just
good.
one of the remedies for,
Yeah.
for vomiting. But
Yeah.
Well, I understand the coffee thing because it relaxes me. I mean, most people get hyped up from coffee, but it has the absolute, if I'm stressed out or anxious, coffee
He'll
will
drink
actually,
a whole pot.
Oh, see, I'm not okay.
yeah. So that's that's a homeopathic remedy, right?
Yeah.
Sort
Exactly.
of.
Exactly.
No, that's a
Exactly.
hyper remedy. That's the
Oh.
allopathic
I'll
thing.
put a sugar
you know?
cube in there. Does that help it be a
my
homeopathic remedy?
goodness.
No.
So basically, when I said, that Highlands research page,
Uh-huh.
that talks about they have that restlessness,
Uh-huh.
right? And sleep problems. So if the pacifier on the coffee doesn't work, then go back to the fussy baby remedy and see what happens. So sleep problems. So it's all that restlessness thing. It's that irritability thing. That's why the coffee. But again, the Highland remedy has seriously a big giant list of stuff,
Mhm.
and so it's pretty serious remedy.
And they can order these on Amazon or go to highlands.com.
Actually,
order kits?
Well, actually, the Highlands people don't sell their remedies, so yeah, you have to get it on some other site.
Okay.
But you put in you look at the handout, the resource page that will be on your site, and then they can see it. So then we talk about, then we got a big chunk of stuff about kind of colds and congestion and all that kind of stuff. So, but you have questions. Have we got questions so far? Are we on them?
I just kind of want to recap a little bit.
Okay.
So homeopathic remedies are absolutely safe.
Yep.
For pregnant women, babies,
nursing,
nursing mamas, pets. I mean, you can.
Yes.
I throw pets in there because
a lot
pets
of people.
and babies, everybody's afraid to dose them with anything.
Right.
So it's totally safe. They're actually very inexpensive.
Relatively speaking, because they last a long time.
Yes.
There's 100 there in that bottle, and you're giving 2 or 3 at a time.
Right. And you want to keep it in a cool, dark place. You don't want to
Yes,
expose
you don't
it
want
to
it in the
heat and
kitchen
sunlight.
above the stove or anything. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So,
Like the good bottle of wine.
And also,
Yes,
Yeah.
like
What?
a good bottle of
I want to
wine.
do one caveat too.
Yeah.
If you use essential oils, right?
Yes.
Don't have them in the same place.
I wanted
Don't
to touch
use
on
them in the
that.
same place. Right. So what I would do is give the remedy first and then start using the oil.
How
Like
far
10 minutes
apart?
later? Or?
I would want to wait. I'd like 20 to 30 minutes if possible.
Okay, so the reason for that is because the strong odors like garlic, onion, mint, you've just brushed your teeth, you've just drank coffee, can nullify a homeopathic.
That's correct. And so,
Which you don't have to worry about with a baby unless you've put
Right.
essential oil on them.
But
Which you
like Angie
should-
said, how far
Well,
apart?
diluted, you can
At least
on
half
the
an
bottom of
hour.
the feet.
No,
Right.
how far
Not on
apart?
their
Like
face.
keeping them
No,
separated.
but even
different rooms in the house.
Different rooms.
So
of the
like
house.
if you keep your oils in one room, you're going to keep your homeopathics in another room.
Okay.
Not the same room. So,
and the other thing that you taught me way back when
or don't
was
open them at the same time.
if you have an open bottle of homeopathics, you don't have anything near it that's strong odor that could nullify it.
Right.
If you drop some, you never pick them up and put them back in the bottle.
Don't put them back in the bottle.
You don't pour them into your hand. You pour them into the cap and under the tongue so that they absorb through the mucous membrane.
Or you could put them into a spoon for the baby, you know what I'm saying? And give them to the, if your baby is more than older
Or-
than 2 months, you know what I'm saying? Otherwise, you can touch them you can put them, take the
For your
lid
baby,
and put them in
yeah.
your hand and put them in the baby's
Right.
mouth or use the spoon. But if the baby hasn't used a spoon yet, then your fingers are okay. For you don't reach in the bottle.
No.
You do dump it in the cap and then put it in your hand. But again, no more than 2 or 3.
So tell
is
me
needed for your
about
baby at a
dosing
time,
in
so.
water. I've heard people say
I
you
do
could
it.
just
Mm-hmm.
put a few pellets in your water bottle and drink it throughout the day.
I've not heard that one.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
Well, the main thing is you don't want them to get hot, so you never
Right.
want to leave them in the car in the summertime.
Mhm.
They can get cold. Cold is fine, but hot is not good for homeopathic remedies. It'll wreck them.
Yeah.
Um,
They're so simple yet almost complicated if your brain's in that allopathic mode.
Well, if you were drinking it out of a water bottle, you'd have to be really careful what you had the rest of the day, or it would be
Exactly.
pointless.
Exactly.
I don't usually have people put things in a water bottle.
Well, for instance, my grandson fell and lumped his face and,
Right.
got a big fat lip, and he would refuse to take
The remedy.
the arnica. So we put some in a cup and had him get a drink of water to
So
get
I
it
would
in
have
him.
just
Wasn't
let him dissolve in
long-term.
the spoon and smashed them, and
Oh,
he
he
would.
would.
He wasn't
He's
having
a
it.
stubborn one.
Okay.
But yeah,
Okay.
so simple, yet can feel a little bit complicated. I'll put some stuff on the website, nc-midwifery.com. Some handouts that Ginger has given us and a couple other I can think of. So you can get more information on the homeopathics.
And the book, you have that
The
book in there?
book.
This book is there's a different. This is an older version of it, but the book is
I guess
this is
we
a
can't see
great.
it, can
Oh,
we?
sorry, do it again. There you go. So this book is really, really handy. So a lot of times the remedies might say, what these remedies do, but you can find a lot more about the remedies in here.
Mhm.
Also, it's grouped by disorder,
Like ailments or something.
ailments in there.
Mhm.
So it's very, very simple. That's the beauty of homeopathy is you don't have to have a diagnosis. You can say, I have a sore throat. Okay. You don't say I have strep. You just say I have a sore throat.
It's based on symptoms.
Based on symptoms. It's all
That's
based on
good.
symptoms. And so it's hard that you can't really ask your baby their symptoms.
Mhm.
And so you just have to go by what you see.
Right.
But when you can talk to somebody, then you can talk about their symptoms, and it's all based on symptoms. So that's the beauty of homeopathy. It's not based on diagnosis, it's based on symptoms. So it's fairly
I would really recommend for like those of you that aren't real sure about it, get yourself a good book. This is an old version. I'm sure the cover looks different now, but I like my
the last time
old
I saw it was red, white, and
trusted
blue,
one.
but that's been a
Was
long
it?
time. I don't
And then go online to Highland's website and order yourself a basic kit for children or a basic
so the kit,
home remedy kit.
right? The kit that I really like is it's on Homeopathy Overnight,
Mm-hmm.
and which is another great website because they
Yeah.
got every single thing under the sun on that one.
Washington Homeopathics also online.
No,
has
actually, they're
kits.
not doing as much.
Yeah, they still have a couple kits, but not many.
Yeah. So anyway, that kit that's listed on there is it's a little pricey because it's big. There's a lot of stuff in there, and there'll be everything you could want for your kid and your family, all the way until the kid leaves home. I promise that there's enough stuff in there to really, and that if you use something up, then you can always just replace that one remedy if there's something you really use a lot. So when I talk about, there's a couple things that I like to mention about colds. So one is, if this child, if holding the child, walking the child around, helps them calm down and get some rest, because sleep is always the best thing when somebody is sick, right?
Right.
Especially a baby. But so getting them calmed down, and you gave whatever remedy you had, or you didn't have one, but you found one. So basically, that pulsatilla is the child isn't usually really intense when they're sick, but whatever they've got going on, they're better consolation.
Whiny
They're better
and clingy.
Yeah. But also, the other thing about pulsatilla is when they're a little bit older, I call them the up and down kid. So they want you to hold them for a little while, but then they want to get down and play for a little while, but then they want you to hold them for a little while. So I call them the up and
Sounds
down
like
kid.
a woman in labor.
Yeah.
Little harder to hold.
Yeah.
So the up and down. So that's pulsatilla, which is a really common remedy for a kid who isn't real intense when they're sick.
And isn't it also the best one for like the thick yellow snotty nose
Yes.
and croup and that kind of thing?
Yeah, especially that that green, yellow green, fun stuff.
Lovely.
Yes. Congestion. Actually, I go herbally for congestion. So elderberry, but it's also called sambucus or sambucol. They have different names
For
for
a
it.
teeny tiny, huh?
Yeah, they have. There's like a whole range of strengths, and so you kind of have to go on. I said your gut, so to speak. But anyway, so they have like at Fred Meyer, I know is where exactly where it is. You know what I'm saying? It's in the kind of that health food section. But they have. I mean, seriously, they have like 4 shelves and. It's a foot wide. I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah.
They have a lot of different kinds,
So
a
you
lot of
can
different types of things.
Pick stuff up locally,
Oh yeah.
even the homeopathics.
Oh yeah. So if I remember correctly, Highland Health Food, which now they call it Highland Organic Market.
Yeah.
They always had Highland stuff. I haven't looked lately, but they always had it in
Well,
the past.
Fred Meyer and Yolks, I know.
Yes.
Carries.
Super Supplements does have
That's
a big,
right.
big
there you
section
go.
too.
They have big
I
section.
forget about them.
That's a great place. Yeah. So anyway, there's a I used to use that children's cough and bronchial, but I can't get it anymore. So the other one is called children's Chestol.
is
Cold
awesome.
Cold and
Yeah.
cough. Yep. And that's a great thing. So I just called it children's Chestol because it's that big long name.
Yes.
But I find it's a cough formula that's homeopathic and
Yolks carries that.
they carry it. Mm-hmm.
Yolks
Yep.
carries it. I have it
Yep.
here too.
Great. Fever. So belladonna is that they get red cheeks or they get red ears and they're kind of glassy eyed. That fever.
You should see your face. Glassy eyed.
They're just like that. They're like they're
Yeah.
the kid who's
Yeah.
like usually the everybody bunny and they're lying on the couch.
The ones
you know?
where moms go, I'm sorry, honey, I feel bad you're sick, but oh, thank you, Lord, that they're holding still and watching cartoons.
It actually
Oh my
sounds like a
goodness.
teenager remedy.
So,
Yeah.
that
so
glassy-eyed look.
That's belladonna, that glassy-eyed, red cheeks or red ears, versus a kid who's pale and kind of restless when they get a fever. That's aconite or aconitum. So the other thing is, what I do for fevers is we take off their shirt or their bottoms, whichever is easier. And so people talk about putting them in the bath, but if they have a fever and they're that little, they don't want to go in the bathtub. They want to stay on you. So you take off their shirt and you use a warm, wet washcloth and you wipe down their chest and their arms and their back and let it evaporate. And then just keep doing it every few minutes and their temperature. So you gave the homeopathic, you gave the fever reducer, and you start trying to cool them down with a wash rag, and they're going to be feeling a lot better really quickly. So that's what fevers are kind of one of those things that people get really freaked out about.
Well,
Yeah.
right.
And I just tell people,
On
do the
that
washcloth thing. It's really fast and easy.
Yeah. Well, on that
know,
note, what's a comfortable?
Oops.
That's our.
It's the
Wrap it up
alarm.
signal.
Season
Okay,
2
We'll
alarm.
finish
So-
that thought.
No,
There's
finish
a-
that thought.
Okay. So, the fever reducers are slow compared to homeopathy when you've got the remedy that's working. Or
What
the
I was going to
combination of
ask
remedies.
was, what are you comfortable with as a natural doctor for a fever for a baby under 6 months old?
Well, like I said,
How high
you
do we
can-
let it go before we get help? I put you on the spot.
Or when do you panic?
Yeah. When do you push the panic button?
over 102 and a half. You definitely have given a fever reducer if it got that high. But you're going to see, sometimes you'll see the kid get a little shaky and you know that you got to bring that down. You've got to. So then you're going to pull out all your stops. You're going to do the washcloth. You're going to do the fever reducer. You're going to give the homeopathic if you have it. And you're going to go like that. And then next, if you didn't have the homeopathic, you're going to make sure you have it the next time.
Exactly.
You run into super supplements.
Yeah.
So basically it's the key is that homeopathy is faster than most medications.
Yeah.
So
So you can dose with it first, and then if you need to, hit the pharmacy.
right. So I think if you get a kit the thing that it says on the bottle is
Mm-hmm.
going to be very limited. This book is going to help you a lot more to know more about the remedies that you're choosing to give to
I've
your
had
kid,
this book
your
for
family.
25 years.
Right.
And I still feel like I learned from it all the time. But you have a great flow chart.
The flow sheet is great because it basically it's a visual version of this.
Mm-hmm.
And so for this, that's why I say the book is indispensable, because then it helps you with your choices. So the flow sheet is a visual version of that. And if you know the remedies, then you know what's going on. You learn them slowly, one at a time, as you try them.
This is one of those topics, Angie, that we could like go on for 2 hours.
We're done.
But
Right.
we're done for now.
Did you want to say something? You started.
I just was going to ask one more thing.
Yes.
So if you keep them out of the heat and away from the strong odors and the oils and everything, how long will they last?
Forever.
Okay, so if
The
someone
FDA says you have to put a number on there. Ignore
Right.
it. Ignore
Okay.
it. They last forever.
Okay, so
As
if
long
someone
as they don't get this, as long as you don't open it where you just started to run your coffee maker machine. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
open it in the same room when you're running your coffee. Don't do that.
Okay, well that's good to know, because if there was a family that did want to invest in one of those big family packs, it's good to know that it really can
It's a
take your
good
kid out of
investment.
the
Yeah,
house.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they last forever.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
So there may be some remedies you never use because it's just not your
Right.
family. You know what I'm saying? It just has to do
thank
with
you for sharing with us.
Yeah, that was
We're
awesome.
going to actually do a little bonus feature and ask Dr. Frazer, our Ginger, how to introduce solids. I get that question all the time, like when and what do I do to introduce solids to prevent allergies? So be looking for that one, and we'll see you next time.
Well, thanks, Ginger. We look forward to hearing from you again, introducing solids in our bonus video with you and audio podcasts. For more information about ncmidwifery.com, visit us on the website, More About Birth, as well as our YouTube channel, More About Birth. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. This podcast is intended for educational purposes only. For more information and our full disclosure, check us out on ncmidwifery.com and our podcast page.